Okay, you're good to go.
Oh, okay. Welcome to the March 25th meeting, Prescott Police Services Board. Welcome to our new acting inspector, Joshua Kingsley. Will Nancy be joining us today or?
Yes, sir. I have Nancy with me in this room.
Okay, great. I think everyone's had time to look over the agenda. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And I would like someone to make a motion to approve the agenda. Mike, seconded by the mayor, Brett Todd, and the agenda's passed. Are there any declarations of interest? There are no presentations or delegations. We've had a chance to look over the minutes. Are there any errors, admissions, or additions? Nothing? Well, it's recommended that the Police Services Board minutes dated January 21, 2020 be accepted as presented. Could I have a motion? Do we need a motion? Yeah. Mike, Brett? Be accepted as presented. All those in favor? Ready? We're also going to, we didn't get a chance to do it last time, was the minutes of February 25th. Again, you had a chance to look those over. Can we have someone move that it be passed? Brett or Mike, seconded by Brett. And it's passed. Anything on the communications, action items? Shall we, or should we go into the new OPP detachment proposal, or when do you want to do that? Under new business?
I think it would make sense under new business, yes.
Okay. All right, anything under the action or information items? No? Do we need a motion for that?
No.
No, good. Let's move right on to the police services report for February.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm going to pass it over to Nancy Graves, who's going to present the report for me.
Morning, everyone. So we'll start looking at the violent crime categories for February. You'll note that we had 1 sexual assault and 1 assault and 3 other crimes against persons. And overall, our change year to date for February 2021 is 9.1% of an increase. So nothing significant to be concerned about there. In terms of our property crimes, you'll note that we had 1 theft over, 1 theft under, 1 have stolen goods incident, 1 fraud, and we had a bit of a spike with our mischiefs. We went from 1 last year to 7 this year in February. When I had an opportunity to look to see what was happening, it appears to be petty incidents between neighbors. So there's nothing to be concerned about in that particular area. We don't have a sort of a series of events happening in the community. It just seemed to be isolated incidents between neighbors. Our drug crime, you'll see that we had 1 trafficking incident in February. And our overall clearance rate for violent crime, property crime, and drug crimes, you'll note in February, the violent crimes is up to 50%. Our property crimes, it comes in at 24%, and our drug crime at 100%. So overall, our percentage for a clearance rate for violent property and drug is 35.9%. And as we always state, this number is dynamic in nature and will change as we continue to investigate and solve crimes. Are there any questions on those 2 pages? Okay. Following along, we had 1 public complaint in the month of February. It was a conduct complaint against an officer. I'm quite confident in reviewing it that it will be resolved here shortly. We have 6 offenders in the intelligence-led policing program, the crime abatement strategy. We had 4 checks that were performed in the month of February. For our cruiser patrol hours, we had 154.25 hours in the month of February. We had 2 hours of foot patrols, and I see here we have a half an hour of marine patrol hours. There was some training that was going on, so I think an officer put that under that category there. We had a number of targeted releases in the month of February from our community mobilization officer, who's been doing quite well here for us, putting us on the map. Sent out some media releases and tweets on the following. Pink Shirt Day, there was a stolen car that was out of Leeds that led to our officers intercepting a second vehicle, resulting in locating a loaded handgun, drugs, cash, and vehicle accessories for other stolen vehicles and breaches as a result of that stop. We did have a number of speed enforcement conducted in the month of February. We had our Long Sault HSD came out to give us a hand, and we did some focused patrols and enforcement in our community safety and school zones, and we yielded some good results. We had 11 speeding, 2 other Highway Traffic Act occurrences, charges, 2 no insurance part 3s that were issued, and 5 e-ticket warnings. And that was over a period of 5 hours that were conducted. We also had a traffic stop that led to some trafficking of meth, possession of meth, and proceeds of crime, and cash and breaching of conditions as a result of that. We had no break and enters for the month of February, so therefore safeguard was not offered. In terms of other information to share, we had our community mobilization officer conducted a number of face-to-face contacts in the community, 13 to be exact. There have been a number of email and phone call contacts, 27 of them. We had 1 apprehension and 10 community referrals. And so in total, we've had over 40 MCERT contacts, and we had 4 days working solely with the crisis workers. So that was very beneficial for us here. And that concludes the report for February, barring any comments or questions.
Any questions, please? Brett, you're muted. We see your lips moving.
Oh, no comments. I'm good. That was excellent.
Okay. If that's the case, then it's recommended. Could I have a motion to accept the police services report? Mike? I have a seconder, Brett? And all those in favor? Oh. It's recommended that the police services report for February 2021 be accepted as presented. All those in favor? Looks like Brett's freezing. There you are.
Am I?
Yeah,
Not
no,
seeing any issues on my end. I don't know if anybody else is.
okay.
Are you untaped away from over there on the west end of town, or?
I think so, yeah.
Freezing.
Yep, you're freezing. That's okay. Let's move on, if we can, to the bylaw update. Thank you again, Nancy, sorry.
Sorry about that. Had to unmute. So yeah, the bylaw, winter control parking, working with operations. We ended up having a really good year. The ability for people to park in municipal parking lot, coupled with I think early education in the fall, went a long way to making sure that we had a really good year and that we only had half the normal tows that we would normally have. With spring coming, of course, the plan is to complete the no parking signage on Dibble and Boundary. And the nice thing is the new software is up and running for bylaw and building. And so now we have new tablets so that it is easier when we go to a situation to have a full historical data with us, regardless of which, whether it's me or Dave that attend the site. And that's it for bylaw today.
Any questions? No? Well, thank you. Anything under old business? I've got one question. Well, in previous years, the OPP have taken on a couple of students from the high school to work in the youth program, is it, I think? Do you know if we'll be doing that again this year?
Yeah, so I can speak to that a little bit. We do have the summer experience program for students. That posting should go on the government sites shortly if it isn't already. Grenville has not been selected for a student, but Leeds has, and we do share that student between Leeds and Grenville.
Okay,
So we will have a summer student out this year, and they usually participate in our Marine program with our Marine officers. So we will have a student selected that'll be shared between Leeds and Grenville this year.
okay. What's the age group, age limit? Is it 16?
Usually for coming into the policing, we end up taking students that are 18 just because of the nature of our job.
Oh,
But
okay.
to participate in the summer experience program, because it's an Ontario Public Service program, it can be 14, but that would be with other ministries.
Okay. Is there anything under old business? Well, let's move on to new business, and I think we'll be talking about the OPP proposal. Anybody want to jump in first?
Yeah, I can, Stan. I was a little surprised to get that when we did, considering they were talking about appointing our provincial members not long ago. So I think unless anyone wants to change our approach, I think we should proceed with sending the letter in we talked about before COVID hit and challenge this and see what response we get. Earlier we send it, the better. I can prepare something pretty much right away. There's a couple things I'd like some information on from staff regarding financial, basically what everybody's paying in Grenville too, because I want to get a handle on exactly that as well. But a few details. But I mean, we agreed to go down this road last year and sort of challenge the province on this. I'm not sure that's going to be successful now, given the tone of that last note. And if you start the process of filling out the form that they link you to, it just the very first page, if you fill in that you're not representing all the municipalities in the detachment, they ask you for reason why right off the bat. So I think a letter directly to the Solicitor General and see what sort of response we get on this before we go ahead.
Well, I agree. We had this discussion when we had the roundtable with the other municipalities. And we've opted to keep our own police board. Yeah, it's the way this, I looked at the questions and answers, and it's all headed towards a regional board. That's what it looks like. And they say that our agreements will be terminated, I guess, in 2022, isn't it? When does our Section 10 agreement?
Yeah, I believe it's
Or the
even
end of this
further
year?
out than that. I think it was renewed last year for 5 years. So I think we're
Oh.
up to 2024 at this point.
Oh, okay. All righty. But they have some kind of a drop dead date here of 2022, so I'll have to look into that. Anything else on this? I think the letter is a good thing. Continue doing it, because we were indicated to us that we were supposed to get 2 provincial appointees, and I don't know what's happened with that.
Actually, Lindsay, were there any further communications from the province on the appointees for our board?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe the last correspondence I had was the last time I had updated the board where they said we were on the list and it was a priority, but then I hadn't heard anything back. I can follow up and see where we're at, but that was the last communication I had received.
Okay, thank you. It's really strange because it's kind of an about face, and I know they did appoint an Augusta member. I think last year they did re-up one of their provincial appointees. So the fact that, I mean, it's not unknown that they've done this to us before. Well, it'll take forever to make these appointments, but in this situation, it's just a little strange. I'm really not impressed with all of this, simply because we're at, it doesn't seem like there was, I mean, what they talked about when all this started to come down in February of last year, when they had that regional meeting. Unfortunately, they had that meeting here. The Brockville meeting was scheduled for the same day that Jeanette Runciman's funeral was held. So a number of us couldn't make it to the meeting. I got there with about 20 minutes to go in the meeting. So I basically missed the entire thing. So we didn't really get the chance to provide solid feedback. And it's just this whole approach, amalgamating the whole area. And we've already seen what happened with North Grenville last year, where their proposal was essentially that, I know initially they wanted the majority membership of the board too. And this just throws local politics into policing in a way that I think is just going to not be good for the service level overall. So I think we send the letter. If everyone's okay with that, we get the letter sent in, see what response we get, and copy Minister Clark on it as well, and see if we can get some dialogue on this, and see if there is still room for that option, which they said they weren't going to pursue a one size fits all approach. But this questionnaire, or the input here seems to basically want the one size fits all. So it's going to be interesting to see if other municipalities have similar problems with this. I would guess we won't be the only ones here.
Is there anything else on this? Yes, Mike?
Yeah, I just want to concur with the mayor that this is kind of a right or left turn, depending on how you want to look at it, from last year when we sort of left the subject off. So I see there's a June 17th deadline for a proposal response to it, I guess, in our case. So this could drag on for a while if, in fact, what kind of splashback they get from this, not just from us, but from the other 300 and some odd municipalities. So this could be a lengthy process in that regard. So I don't think there's going to be any hard and fast cut and dried rules right at the moment. It's just a matter of indicating our interest and seeing where it takes us from here. Thanks.
Yeah, I think definitely send the letter. So actually the date is June 7th. And depending on the response to the letter, we still have time to fill out that questionnaire. Is there anything else? All righty. If that's it for new business, then we can move on to the service announcement. We want to continue on with the speeding. That seems to be working. Or any suggestions?
That sounds good, Chair. The other messaging that we've been putting out as well is March is Fraud Month. So we've been putting out campaigns regarding those kinds of things, just to advise members of the community, to be vigilant with the typical Canada revenue frauds this time of year.
If, obviously we're getting I know I get a lot of calls on the cell phone and everything. Other than hanging up, and obviously you don't want to be inundated with calls saying, what can we do?
We do get a lot of those calls. People can report it to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. So oftentimes they're using phone spoofing. So they're taking legitimate phone numbers and they're basically having those phone numbers displayed. I mean, I had my own staff number used on people's call display. So my staff members were getting phone calls saying, why are you calling me for and telling me that I have an arrest warrant out? And so it's a very difficult crime to investigate. That's why the better we can educate the public about these frauds and these types of situations, the more likely we can prevent people from being victimized on them, because they are very difficult crimes to investigate. But if people report that to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, they're an agency that collects data. And once they can collect enough data to support law enforcement, they'll send that information to the particular law enforcement agency, whether it be the RCMP, the OPP, or other enforcement agencies, to help us build cases against these fraudsters.
Good. Okay. Yeah, we'll just continue on with that then. That said, I'd just like to say to Nancy, thank you very much for your help over the years. And hopefully you're going to be moving on to bigger and better things.
Thank you very much. I'll be here.
Okay.
And I'll be relying heavily on her, so.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I guess the next thing is, when do you guys want to meet again?
Well, if I may make a suggestion, if we make it for the last Thursday of every month, that way we can just have an automatic date set and only have to revisit it in months where there might be a holiday or
All right.
something like that.
All right, let's do that for the 29th of April, obviously. I hope that fits into the OPP schedule. There's no holidays or meetings or anything on that date.
I'll make it work.
Okay. That's good, Matt. Do you want to just send out a reminder to everybody the last Thursday then? So automatically put it into our phones or whatever?
We can do that.
Okay. Well, if that's the, isn't there anything else? It's recommended that this meeting adjourn to April 29th at 8:30. All those in favor? Okay. And it's 8:54.